ask you both one more question and then get some from the audience. I want to ask, kind of building on something that you said, Jay, about the venture capital environment. And certainly we've all read about Solyndra and other failures, for lack of a better word, in the energy.
It's a long list.
Yes, exactly, in the energy domain. And how has that really changed the environment in which both of you work, or the venture capital environment for energy technologies? Has there been any repercussions? Jay, I'll start with you.
It's been devastating for me. Yeah, I mean, A123 Systems was a very high-profile battery company in North America. They got hundreds of millions of dollars of government resource that was recently sold pennies on the dollar to a Chinese interest, including IP. And that is seen as a massive loss of intellectual property and capital to our competitor overseas. And furthermore, they overpromised and underdelivered routinely. They perpetrated a fair amount of deception in the way they presented their technology to some extent, at least from a cost perspective. They had very good performance, but the costing was very challenging. And they were tied up with another massive failure, Fisker Motor Cars. And so this combination alone is painful. And so when you walk in the door to somebody who just lost 30, 40, 50, 70, $100 million to a battery company, you say, hey, I'm a battery company. I need some money. I'm pre-revenue. But don't believe all those other people, but you can believe me, right? It doesn't fly. And so this is so different than when A123 stock was going up and they went public and things looked good. There was a huge interest in us, and we were sort of on their coattails as they were going up. And I remember thinking, oh my God, if and when they crash, we're going to go right down behind them. And so the environment has changed. It's been very difficult. The exception is Tesla Motor Cars, who are doing well. They're a battery-based company. They have been very smart in the way they use batteries, and I applaud them. Elon Musk is very, very savvy in the way that he's used existing batteries right off the shelf from Panasonic and stuck them in a box, and he's using them in a really good way. And good for him. I mean, it's still a luxury product. It's not going to be mass appeal for a long time, but it's not losing money.
Great.
Yeah, I guess I'd go back to something Jay said earlier, and one of the key things when we go in to talk to a potential investor, and we're looking at strategics right now where we fit very nicely with what they're doing, but we can't talk about the greenness of the product. At the end of the day, we have to be viable whether there are carbon credits or not. And so what we talk about is industry transformation, what it does for the industry and the profitability that engages to them and to us, and how it aligns with some of the strategic goals that folks have. So, but also, like Jay, we go overseas. I think that's where there's a sensitivity and an understanding of why things work and why they don't work that we've been able to leverage. And we've just crawled into the market, so far it's been receptive, but there's one very common thing. We don't have a Solyndra, but there's a list of green cements that have struggled over the past couple of years. Commercial, you have to have some commercial traction. And that's really the thing we're focusing on right now, that over the next, actually this week and next week in particular, some of that commercial traction comes into play. It's going to make it a lot easier for us to be able to go out and look for investors.
Great.
Just one more added point, just speaking of overseas, this little story about Germany. We all know Germany's got a lot of solar, right? And they just passed a law that now directly incentivizes storage in your house with the solar panels they already incentivized to put on your roof. And we recently sent some folks to a solar conference in Germany. And last year there were tens of people and tens of companies and hundreds of people at sort of the storage aspect of the solar, and it was thousands this year and many hundreds of storage companies. It's that policy in Germany alone has made a huge change in the way people look at storage, both in Germany and elsewhere. And so again, this points to potential policy issues that could really matter here domestically at some point as well.